Everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. I'm hoping to get it over to Storm Talk at some point, or just any talk that's snow, because it's getting tiring now, guys. I know you guys are getting tired of this cold weather more than anything. The snow, unless it's going to be a very beautiful, crazy snow event, it's just these little ones that are coming through are just more annoying than anything. And as a snow lover, I'm glad to say that. All right, but that's look at the radar trends here. This is just the visible satellites as the sun comes up. You're just now able to see some of the cloud cover. It's not that case in every location here. Any shower activity, it's been trying to work its way in. 265, the dew points are just too low still, so a lot of them will begin to evaporate or get eroded away. Now it is wet bulbiness down, if you will. In fact, I think in Louisville we've already dropped. Now at Staverfield we're still at Louisville International 42, but at Bowman has dropped a few degrees. I think these little sprinkles kind of approaching the area. So either way, this is going to be a mainly dry setup most of the daylight hours today. I'll turn on both satellites so you can kind of see the image I'm looking at. Here's the game plan. All involves this area of low pressure riding through here that is spinning. It's got really, you've got one batch of thunderstorms getting pretty far ahead of the main line. The main line is still backing through here, more the dry line, if you will. And then you got the warm front kind of stretched out now where the thunderstorms are across Tennessee and Mississippi that is going to move north and then put the brakes on. So eventually, the way the low is going to be set up, it's going to be very, very close to the Kentucky-Tennessee border. The warm front is going to be almost due east from that, and then your cold front will be curled around to the south. So this sector, south and east of the low, this spot in through here, is what we're talking about for the severe weather potential today to take place. You're the warm sector spots. So if the low were to track a little more to the north, well, that would push the warm front more to the north as well. But it would keep the severe threat in our southern counties, and maybe an isolated tornado threat would enter then our southern Kentucky counties. But that really would just depend on how the warm front gets north and how the low tracks. And just a couple of counties can make a big difference. So that's why we're not taking our guard down completely. But I can see why there's a marginal risk out, as you'll see in a second, for that particular spot. So let's look at the risk. Here is the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, which is going to be updated very soon. Marginal right along the Kentucky side of the border here for that very reason, to give it a bit of a buffer zone, if you will. But enhanced Nashville to south and east. If I could break it up, large hail potential, potentially significant large hail once you get south of I-40 there into Alabama and Mississippi and northern Georgia. When you move into the damage and wind potential, straight line winds, pretty much where you got the at least the slight risk, Tennessee border to the south. And then the tornado potential is hatched, which is right up here in our scale, which means significant. That's about an EF2 or larger tornado potential, and some of the supercells can get going here near I-40 today, right along the actual warm front as it's lifting in this afternoon. So suddenly much more of a show, much more of a threat, dangerous weather to our south. So let's talk about our setup. And this is just one model's idea, but you get the sense. Here comes the first wave of moisture moving in this evening. We climbed about 60. Now the warm front is going to be, again, very close to this level by this point. Now, what we have to watch for with the low moving in is if the low tracks more to the north, the winds around it go counterclockwise. So the winds will begin to turn or back. When we see the backing winds, that's where you get your isolated tornado threat to take place, and then eventually you go into just a due east wind, which is where we're going to keep Louisville in the due east flow for this entire event this evening. North wind now, but it'll shift more east this evening. When we get into a southeast wind, though, that is going to be right along our counties here. I would say Adair County, Greene, maybe Taylor, and Hart. Just be aware, you guys could be very close to where the winds do back if that low tracks too far north, and you may have a brief tornado potential as this stuff rolls on through here this evening. Okay? So, rolls on through. There we go with a little more organized activity there into the mountains, southeast Kentucky into Tennessee. For us, the main low then begins to split. It'll begin to transfer out to the coast, and then the upper low begins to develop and take over. But it hasn't really gotten its act together yet, so it's relatively ragged at this point. So we're expecting just general showers during the day tomorrow, but as the low begins to fill back in, the rate will increase, and then we can take down some of that colder air above, not coming from Canada, but coming from above, and pull it down to change over some of this over to some wet snow. And that trend will continue even as we get into Tuesday night, overnight Wednesday, and early Thursday. Now notice it's more showery for our area and much more concentrated across Ohio. There's no doubt at this point, the way things are trending, Ohio's going to get the heaviest snow out of this system. There will be banding of snow, though, heavy wet snow that will wrap around this western side all the way into the I-65 corridor, a few counties either side of that, as we head into the evening. This is a setup where eastern Kentucky may not get much based on the position of the low spinning, so it's going to wrap around it. So how far west does this go is one of the questions we got to figure out, and then secondly, how intense will some of these bands be when they drop over, because we have the darkness of night, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, to take advantage of that. It's going to be a similar setup, guys, to the previous events of slushy snow. Right now, I didn't include my map, but I should have, but I'm thinking about an inch of accumulation riding through here, and then we're going to get a band of 1 to 2, and then you'll get maybe a 2 to 4 here that'll ramp up quickly to 5 to 6 into Ohio. So certainly set up there that if you're traveling up 71, you're going to run into heavier amounts of snow than we'll have here in Louisville, and just north of Lexington, maybe a similar story as well. And the more west you go, the lighter amounts of snow to nothing at all. So I-65 again looks to be a good dividing point. I don't want to talk too much about this, but that's how it's looking. And then it wraps up. It takes a while. It's going to be a chilly day on Wednesday to get this out of here. And any accumulation, by the way, will begin to melt since the sun comes up on Wednesday. So it's going to be a temporary issue on the snow. So this alert day is only just to let you know there's some impact potential for the morning commute Wednesday for slush. And that's possible. All right, backing up to the severe potential, here is well, first off, here's Louisville here. We're looking at the low-level shear. This is where you get your tornado potential, and you can see it's certainly an issue right where they have that hashed area along I-40 to the south. Overall shear in the atmosphere, though, the system is pretty good, so there will be some strong winds tonight. Even if we don't get severe weather, the wind fields aloft are going to be pretty strong, which means any of these little gusty thunder showers they can develop can put down some strong winds in our area. And I wouldn't rule out a couple of warnings that could get issued because of that strong wind gust. If it has some lightning involved in it, it's a possibility for those of you very close to the parkways for this evening, so we'll watch that. It's not off the chain kind of stuff here, guys, but it is enough that it's going to be a breezy night tonight and a little active on the radar. And it's one of those things we'll just take hour by hour. Then one of the things that's preventing it from going crazy into Kentucky, though, even with the low tracking maybe more north, is instability. The model still indicates they're going with mainly a cloudy sky that will win out this afternoon, limit our heating. We also have a limit on how far our northeast dew points can get. This time of the year, I would say 52, 53 degree dew point and higher. You can start entering the severe potential, and you can see that's roughly in that marginal risk in south. I think the placement's good and what they're doing here with the Storm Prediction Center so far. Everything's lining up what you would expect in a warm front, low pressure, poaching kind of deal. Even instability, again, just much more of an issue here. Instability is so high here. This is why your large hail threat is higher. And way to the south of the low, because your instability is so high, you can get larger hailstones. You get more stronger updrafts. You got just enough instability here with the crazy low-level shear combined together, produced a tornado threat. So it's a tornado threat here, hail threat to the south of it, and we're just in a somewhat rainy threat here locally. All right, let me talk about the snow thing real quick. There's another view of it. You can see how it wraps around Tuesday afternoon. I think most Tuesday will be rain. But once we get into the darkness of night, we'll see it mix in with those heavy, wet, big snowflakes. We get to the freezing mark in some spots. This is a very similar setup we already went through. Slushy accumulation, a lot of heavy snow accumulation. So, 1 to 4 inches is certainly a possibility between Louisville and Cincinnati area. I mean, it's going to come down hard. It all depends on the banding and what our temperature profile is when this is happening. That can, again, rate. If it's coming down hard enough, rate will triumph a warm ground. On the roadways, briefly, but it's mainly slush. But on the grassy areas, the cars and rooftops, yes. And it will accumulate. We've already proven that many times over and over, already even this season. The European ensembles, by the way, they give the probability of having at least an inch of snow. Here in Louisville, it's got us about 84% chance, about 90% chance in Radcliffe of at least an inch of snow. Higher to the east and northeast. When it comes to 3 inches, 30% chance for at least 3 inches of snow. Higher, way up there to the north, Cincinnati into Ohio. That's fair. That's kind of a cool map. I like it. I mean, it's not always exact, but something different to show. All right, guys, stay close to the forecast and the Way 3D's weather app. We're going to keep you updated, and we'll constantly keep that app updated as we evolve for the next 36 hours for us.